7:35 on this Monday, and our good friend Fred Ramey's on the phone. Good morning, Fred. How you been?
Good morning, Dale. Doing pretty good. Just trying to get over a sore spot, not getting to see the big moon last night. Could y'all see it up on the hill?
It was perfect. We had clear skies and just beautiful last night. Watched it. I was outside. Let's see, I got home from church last night probably around 7:30, and had some work sitting there on the workbench, was tinkering with, and kept going in and out, and it was amazing. It was fun to watch.
Well, my 8-year-old and my older kids, they weren't that interested in it. But they thought they'd watch it. But my youngest one, she's 8, and she really wanted to see it. They kind of worked her up at school about it, and so we got home from church, like you said, about 7:30, and so we went outside, spread a blanket, and had a little picnic kind of out in the yard. And it was clear at the time. You could see the moon already. Well, about 8 o'clock, it got cloudy around here.
Oh, my goodness.
I mean, real cloudy.
Huh.
You couldn't see anything. Oh, she was upset.
I mean, we had just crystal clear skies. It was amazing.
Yeah, I bet
it was really amazing. It was.
I bet it was.
You may be getting some. Let me look at this radar. You may be getting a little bit of shower activity. Well, it's scattered along either side of I-40.
Yeah, it was back closer to the Mississippi River this morning.
Yeah, West Memphis, where I-55 and 40 come together in Arkansas, right there. A lot of rain right there at that junction.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I don't know if it's going to be working this way or not. So we'll have to see. It's pretty overcast here this morning right now.
Me too,
so. Yeah. We may get some, but
we could use it.
Yeah, we could use it. So I wasn't
going.
But I wish it had cleared up just for a few hours last night. But anyway, speaking of clearing up, the Pope has left town.
Yep,
he's going back home. Have you been following that story this week, Dale?
Oh, a little bit.
Well, I'll tell you, you and I, of course, are both Baptist and Southern Baptist, but I've been somewhat interested in it. I've been following it some, and just out of morbid curiosity, really. I don't have any major issue with this guy. I do take issue with a few things that he said about immigration, but and we'll get to that here in a second. But I don't begrudge that he was here, and I think he has maybe perhaps piqued an interest in religion amongst some folks that maybe weren't that interested in it.
True.
And that when you have a high-profile figure that comes like that, and I do, although I disagree with him on a few things, I do think he's a decent guy. I think he's a caring guy, a loving guy, and I think it shows in his actions. And I think a lot of people saw that and were touched by it. I saw a report by a reporter, can't remember her name. She got to meet the Pope, and apparently she was not of no particular religious affiliation at all, and she was impressed by how caring and compassionate he was.
Mm-hmm.
And I just thought to myself, well, that's probably a lot of Christian folks that
Sure.
from all denominations. If you just the fact that she was so shocked that people could act that way, kind of is an indictment against the people she hangs around with, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, the media can be pretty nasty at times, and the type of folks they interview and the people that they work with. So, kind of makes you wonder the kind of folks she hangs out with. But anyway, we're glad that he was here. I think it was a good shot in the arm for Christianity. But I do want to take slight issue with some of the comments that he made. I believe it was Thursday, about immigration. He was speaking in, was it Philadelphia, Pittsburgh? Where was it? Philadelphia, I guess it was.
Yeah.
And on Thursday became the first pontiff to address a joint meeting of Congress. Then he went to Philadelphia after that, of course. But he talks to the Americans, talks to the crowd really about remembering their immigrant roots. And I guess I want to touch on that. And Dale, I know this is a nation of immigrants. I get it. My family came here, but it was a long time ago. I mean, I think my family came here in the 1650s. So they've been here a while.
Yeah.
And so The Pope strongly encouraged them to remember their roots, to feel empathy for the plight of the undocumented, and to resist the urge to resolve immigration problems through deportation. We, the people of this continent, are not fearful of foreigners, because most of us were once foreigners. That was his comment. Well, Dale, I really wouldn't call it fearful, I never, I think he's a little bit off base on that. I don't think people are fearful of him, except those who come here with criminal intent. But we're just feeling a little bit overwhelmed right now. It's not fear; it's just aggravation with the overwhelming of our systems and our social programs, the social safety nets. And I think that's it. I think Americans see that our children are going to be paying higher and higher and higher taxes to pay for people that are coming here illegally. I think most Americans would agree that, because, my God, Dale, a lot of people vacation in Mexico. Right. And vacation in the Caribbean, and vacation in Central American countries. They don't really have an animosity towards people of Central and South America. If they want to apply legally and come here and contribute, I think most Americans are fine with that.
Yeah, follow the law.
Exactly, but and I have been very welcoming of people who have come here legally, and I think most Americans are and would be, but I do think we're about to reach a point of just being completely overwhelmed. I completely understand when Americans are upset that we have to hire additional teachers at our schools just for the single purpose that they speak Spanish, to tutor the Spanish language students. What would the Central American countries do? They'd send you home.
Yeah.
And so it continues to be to increase the tax burden of Americans that have been here, that have worked, that have contributed, and those that show up here undocumented, illegally, whatever word or phrase you want to use, that just show up and say, y'all owe me something. I'm here, and y'all owe me something. Mm-hmm. That is the aggravation. I don't think it's a fear, as he put it. Let's see. He goes on here to say, knowing that so many of you are descended from immigrants, we must not be taken aback by their numbers. Well, how many are we going to be able to take, Dale? There has to be a breaking point somewhere.
There needs to be, sure.
And there are. Their numbers are huge, and people, and we see the people of Europe and from government organizations and the UN lecture the United States about not wanting to take immigrants or refugees rather, from Syria, and God knows where they're from. They're probably not even from Syria. But we've taken in anywhere from 10 to 20 million refugees from Mexico and Honduras and Nicaragua and over the last 30 years. I think it's hardly anybody's right to point fingers at the United States and say we haven't taken in refugees. We have, and been pretty tolerant about it until it gets to the point where it says hey, enough's enough.
Hey, I got a question for you concerning the Pope's visit.
Okay.
I've not seen anybody fussing on Facebook about separation of church and state, but yet he's the head of a church. What if Christian people wanted to say Franklin Graham or Rick Warren or somebody like that to address Congress?
Well, you got a point there. You got a point, but there are.
Or even Billy Graham if he was physically able.
Yeah, he's not going to be with us much longer, is he? He's really going downhill fast. Yeah, I understand, but look, I don't have a problem with it.
And what I've heard people, and I don't know if I agree with this, said, well, he's more of a political figure than a religious figure.
Well, technically he is, Dale, because the Vatican City is a sovereign nation.
Yeah.
We appoint a U.S. ambassador to the Vatican, and so, but I think it's only about 160 acres, isn't it?
It's not much.
I think it's definitely smaller than a section. Well, a section would be 640, 160 would be a quarter of that. So yeah, it's a pretty small sovereign nation. I didn't hear him mention they were going to take any refugees. it'd get crowded there for sure. But I do. Look, I appreciate him coming. I don't have a problem with him addressing Congress any more than I did.
I don't either.
Any more so than I did Benjamin Netanyahu addressing Congress. I was fine with it. A little bit taken aback, I guess, by the way that they treated kind of both of them, almost as a State of the Union, is how both of them were treated. But anyway, there are a lot of Catholics in this country, and that have contributed greatly to the country, and it was
good.
Probably the largest denomination in the country, I would guess.
Hey, let's grab that break real quick. We're at 7:45. Right. Hang on to the phone. We'll finish out the show. More of Fred Ramey right after this. Need to pay some bills. Be right back.
All right.
7:49. Continuing our discussion with Fred Ramey. All right, Fred.
Well, we'll go ahead and switch gears here quick.
Go.
You know, the Pope's left town. Looks like John Boehner's leaving town too.
Hallelujah.
Well, I'll say this.
Did you see the crowd when Marco Rubio was speaking and he announced the resignation?
Well, I heard about that.
I saw it.
But, you know, Dale, being the leader of any group that big has got to be difficult. I mean, you've got, especially in politics, you've got guys that are, all in the Republican Party, some that are just extremely, extremely conservative, some that are kind of middle of the road, and some you kind of just wonder why they even call themselves Republicans. And you got one guy trying to lead all three of those groups and trying to get them all on the same page at the same time on the same day to vote on a bill. It can't be easy. And so I'll give him a little bit of leeway there. He's had a difficult job. Would you agree?
Yeah, but I think he brings a lot of this on himself because, to me, John Boehner's drug his feet.
Well, true enough, he has on a lot of things, and but he's kind of I think that's a fair statement. He has, but
I've not seen John Boehner just come right out and say, I don't want this. Let's look at Planned Parenthood. Okay, It needs to be defunded. Bottom line. Yeah. Where's his stance on that? I think he's got a rubber band for a backbone.
Well, that's probably true enough, but it still it is a difficult job, and I don't envy him at all for having to corral that bunch up there, because everybody's got their own agenda, and everybody up there is got big egos, and they're all looking for attention, and it's probably even worse in the Senate.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, look, I hold no ill will towards him. I wish him well.
Wish him well, and let's move on. Yeah.
Good life, and move on, and whatever his next phase in life is. So, and speaking of people leaving town, that's two leaving town. The governor's leaving town today, going to Cuba.
Is he?
Going down to Cuba to try to drum up some business for Arkansas. So,
way to go, Asa.
I have taken a position that I support this embassy in Cuba. I know a lot of our conservative friends have not. I get it, but they are long term. I think this is a good thing. The Castro brothers are not going to be around much longer, just by the simple fact that they're 80s, 90. They're getting on up there in the years. I think it's going to be a good thing for the United States to have a presence down there when that time comes.
Yep.
It could be chaotic for a while, but we need to know what's going on down there.
Yeah.
And we need to, when they're 90 miles from our coast, we need to know what's going on, and we need to have a presence there and an influence there. And I think we'll have one.
Yeah, I think the big word right there is influence. You hit the nail on the head right there.
If you're not there, you can't have influence.
Right.
And so we don't have to take a strong position right now, but we can kind of sit back and tap our toe and watch what's going on down there and look for an opportunity to kind of nudge them in the way that we'd like for them to go and have some influence. And
is Fidel still alive? What's the news media saying? Is Fidel still alive?
I'm assuming he is. I haven't heard anything.
Well, I think that Raul in charge is just maintaining the status quo until the passing of Fidel Castro, and I think you're going to see changes after that.
Well, I think so. And when both of them are gone, like I was talking to somebody the other day, I said, you're going to possibly could see a vacuum very quick, and you don't want China filling that vacuum, or Russia, or Venezuela, or some other rogue nation. You want at least to have a presence down there so we know what's going on, so at least we can have, like I said, some influence.
Yeah.
And, there's a lot of Cubans in the United States.
Mm-hmm.
We could very well have a nominee for president with Cuban roots.
Well,
got two of them in the race with Cuban
right.
roots. Yeah. So it's possible. That's not an endorsement. I'm just saying it could happen. But
you are so right.
Yeah, and so there you go. But we need to at least be friendly with them. And I know they have a very dangerous and nasty history down there. I get it, but still, it's not Iran. We're not dealing with Iran here. It's Cuba. Right. It's a little bit different. And I'm glad the Pope went there too and encouraged.
Some of those back streets in Havana are kind of like backstreet New Orleans. If you've ever been down there.
I've been to New Orleans. Yeah, I know. There is some similarities, I'm sure. But I'm glad the Pope went there too to encourage. There's a lot of Catholics in Cuba. There's a lot of There's a lot of evangelicals.
Yeah,
in Cuba.
there is. Yeah.
I understand there's some Christian groups already passing out Bibles and trying to make some inroads down there.
Good.
So I think there's a lot of opportunity there, Dale. And the governor's going down to try to get some business for Arkansas.
Need to pray for the safety. Is First Lady going too?
I don't think so.
Or just the governor?
Well, the governor and I think there's a couple, some state legislators going with him, I think.
Good.
So, but yeah, there's some trade people from I think Riceland and probably Tyson Foods. But yeah, they said this could be a 200 million export market for Arkansas.
That's great.
200 million, so possibly. So that's not small change.
Final minute, down to a minute.
It's a good thing. Well, if the Pope left town, Boehner's leaving town, the governor's leaving town. If we could just get Hillary to leave town.
Maybe we could talk Asa into taking Hillary with him.
No, I don't think he wants anything to do with her. I can
just buy her a one-way ticket.
I'm not well acquainted with the governor, but I can pretty much guarantee he don't want anything to do with Hillary.
I guarantee that.
And but yeah, if we can just get somebody to talk, maybe we should have got the Pope to take her back to the Vatican. Anywhere, just somebody take her, please. Bill weighed in on the thing yesterday. I saw in the paper where he weighed in on her email scandal. It's all the Republicans' fault, Dale.
Oh yeah.
And that's what he said. It's the Republicans' fault.
Yeah. Terrible. It's just terrible, isn't it?
It is.
Well, Fred, we need to wrap it over down to 8 seconds. Quick thought?
Well, just quit picking on Hillary, everybody.
Oh, that wraps up. Fred, thanks for calling in. We'll get this updated and put it on. You'll see it on audio on demand as Fred White and Blue with Fred Ramey. Fred, until next Monday, thanks.
Have a great week, Dale.
See you later. That wraps up, everybody. We'll be back tomorrow. Have a great day.